In a world scarred by mysterious disasters, a strange substance called originium has changed everything. It grants people incredible powers, but also brings a deadly disease called oripathy. This story follows Rhodes Island, a company that's part rescue team, part mercenary squad, working to find a cure and protect the infected from a world that fears them. Led by a mysterious doctor with amnesia, they fight against hostile forces, political conspiracies, and their own inner struggles. If you enjoy this video, make sure you click the like button as it helps the channel grow a lot faster. Let's jump right into the video now. A lady named Amia looks over at a guy she calls Doctor as he slowly wakes up. He seems to have been undergoing an operation, and Amia is quite happy to see him gain his consciousness back. Soon, Doctor passes out again. A little later, he opens his eyes back, and Amia is glad to see him wake up once again. Thereafter, Amia discovers that Captain Doberman has encountered a group of militants known as Reunion. Worried for Doctor's safety, Amia realizes that she needs to keep him away from the hands of Reunion. Later, Amia and Doctor are escorted through the back room into the basement. There, the Doctor grows concerned as he cannot get in contact with Doberman. Moreover, his situation worsens, prompting Amia to calm him down. They then continue to make their way further toward the exit. Here, they encounter their first hurdle as they notice the Reunion having guards on almost every exit. Amia then suggests that they look for Doberman on the floor where they are currently and then search for other parts of the building if they fail to find her. However, their plan fails as Reunion guards find them hiding inside a room. As the guards walk forward to check Amia and co, Doberman arrives just in time, knocking the guards out. Later, the group has finally regrouped, but now they need to find a way out of this building. For this, Doberman offers Doctor to lead their extraction mission, until he makes a grand revelation. He doesn't remember anything, but Amia stays hopeful, mentioning that there might still be some memories inside of Doctor's mind. The team then slowly makes their way to another route, even eliminating a Reunion guard, but they end up walking into a trap and get ambushed. All of a sudden, Captain Ace radios the team, asking them to cover their eyes and ears as he throws a flashbang, leaving the Reunion guards blind. In a scene change, we see glass shrapnel spread everywhere as one of the guards covers up a girl who unfortunately passed away during the crossfire. Thereafter, Doberman reveals that the secret route has been deemed safe and that they will be leaving in 10 minutes. Soon, Ace arrives and is happy to see Doctor alive. As the team waits around to have some rest, Doberman spots a group of Reunion militants coming their way while protesting. Wow. This is already feeling like that one Purge movie.
For real, the vibes I'm getting out of this are literally the same as I got from Purge, the election year, not the other boring ones.
Doberman quickly tells everyone to leave through the back door. As they make their way into the back alley, Amia sees a mother and child running toward the Reunion militants' way. Having an urge to save them, she quickly tries to approach them but gets stopped by Doberman, who reminds Amia that she is the leader of Rhodes Island and that she should prioritize what to do. Just then, the Doctor successfully logs in with the PRTS device that he was given earlier. He then proceeds to deploy a couple of drones to spot the enemies, assuring Amia that the mother and her child are going to be saved. Moreover, Amia assures everyone that Doctor is more than capable of leading them, even in his current state. Meanwhile, the Reunion militants have surrounded the mother and her child and are ready to execute them, even though the mother pleads for her daughter to be left out of it. Soon, the team arrives, and with Doctor's 4-step plan, they successfully manage to save both the mother and her daughter. But due to the shock, the mother passes out. As soon as she wakes up, she notices that Amia is infected and thanks her for saving them, but decides to part ways with them. Amia stays there, helpless, as she can do nothing but hope that the mother and her daughter stay alive. Somewhere else, a ready militant group discovers that Black Road has been spotted as they prepare themselves. On the other hand, Amia's team makes their way in front of the tunnel, and Ace is sent to check if any threats are lingering around. Outside, Amaya explains to Doctor why the mother decided to part ways. Turns out that most of the people on Rhodes Island are infected with a deadly disease known as oripathy, and there is no cure for it yet. Moreover, the Ursus government has instilled this fear in the minds of the people that those with oripathy should be exterminated, and that's why Reunion militants do what they do. Amia adds that Doctor is the one who was working on a cure for oripathy before he lost his memories. Soon they are given clearance from Ace that the tunnel is safe and the team continues to walk inside. Amia then declares Doctor as a member of Rhodes Island. The riots have been gradually increasing day after day, but the Ursus government is taking serious measures to deal with this situation. This is what is being reported on the news, but in reality, the Reunion militants are slaughtering these government soldiers. During one conflict, a leader tries to instill some courage in his men, but they flee fearing for their lives. As he is left alone, a Molotov is thrown at him, leaving him to be burned alive. Meanwhile, Amaya and his team are on their way. Ace discovers the fake news of Ursus government having dealt with the riots. Thereafter, Doctor tries to communicate, mentioning that there is something weird going on with this mist as it keeps on getting thicker. Suddenly, Doctor suggests that they should start circling around. Amia grows suspicious of her surroundings, but then she is approached by by Doberman, who informs her about the current situation. Amiya then notices that Doctor is gone. Not too far from there, a girl named Crownslayer has Doctor by the edge of her blade, threatening him to tell her everything he knows. All of a sudden, a boy arrives, telling Crownslayer to leave his territory. The enemy soldiers then retreat and the mist starts to dissipate, followed by Crownslayer backing off as well. The boy then introduces himself as Mephisto to Amiya's team. Feeling danger, Doberman asks her team to leave and decides to buy some time for them, but they soon realize that they have been ambushed, having nowhere left to run. Mephisto then offers them to give up Doctor and the rest of them can walk free, but Amiya swiftly refuses. Mephisto then orders his men to shred these people into pieces, telling them that they don't really matter in his plans. Ace quickly uses smoke grenades to cause distraction as the others begin to leave with the wounded, but Mephisto uses his hidden snipers to target them one after the other. Soon, a militant is about to attack Doctor but is knocked back by Nerl, the Radiant Knight of Kazimierz. Nerl then proceeds to eliminate Mephisto's men one after the other. Seeing that the situation is gripping away, Mephisto orders Faust, a hidden sniper, to blow Nerl into pieces, but she manages to deflect the shots fired at her. Talk about making a grand entry.
Nerl out here toying with Mephisto's men as if it's a child play. Damn.
Soon they discover that the wounded have been evacuated, prompting Nerl and Amiya to start fleeing as well. Along the way, Amiya finds herself on the verge of death but gets saved by Ace. As the entire team successfully escapes, Nerl is the last one standing alone. However, she manages to get out of the place as well. Faust then approaches Mephisto and apologizes for messing up, but he tells them that it's fine and offers the men remaining to use for her protection. The team then made their way to the Azazel clinic, where the Oripathy patients used to be treated in secret. There, they discuss how these patients had their community destroyed, prompting Amiya to comment how one affected shouldn't trust another infected. All of a sudden, Amiya feels slight pain, leaving Nerl to quickly call for a medic. Analyzing her situation, the medic decides to use arts to treat Amiya. Thereafter, Amiya explains to Doctor what arts is and how it helps the infected stay alive. Soon, Ace informs that all the wounded have been treated and suggests that they leave this clinic. The team then makes their way to a building where Doctor's device alerts about a heat source nearby. Nerl and her team are sent to inspect the building when suddenly Doctor's device starts going crazy with the alerts. All of a sudden, a huge heat source appears out of the blue as a huge fire blast is released toward Amiya's team. Seeing this, they realize that this is none other than Talulah, the tyrant of reunion. Meanwhile, Amiya's team quickly saves themselves by jumping to their sides and finding cover. Just then, another heat blast strikes Nerl's building, leaving Amiya shocked. Slowly, Talulah begins making her way toward the fallen Amiya, telling her that she should have joined them. Amiya opens her eyes and sees Nerl being engulfed in the flames as Talulah continues to approach her. There, Talulah tells Amiya that this marks the end of her journey. She even explains the way that she wants things to end up, with annihilation. The fight is still in full effect. Amiya is trying her best to hold Talulah back while she continues to overwhelm Rhodes Islanders in every aspect. Although Amiya is about to lose all her strength, she continues to hold her ground, unfazed, and asks her team to leave this place as soon as possible. Soon, Amiya manages to block off Talulah's attack entirely, surprising her. Seeing this as an opportunity, Talulah begins raining fireballs in their entire area, not caring about even her own crew. Amiya quickly raises her hands and uses her magic to provide cover to her team, but soon loses all her energy. Seeing this, Ace decides to be the one to cause distraction and asks everyone else to leave. The team listens this time, and Doberman, Amiya, and Nerl, along with others, make their way to safety. After coming to a halt, Amiya questions whether Ace is coming or not, but discovers that he decided to stay behind to buy them some time. Amiya immediately tries to leave, but passes out after losing consciousness. Later, as soon as Amiya wakes up, she asks Doctor whether Ace and his team are alive, but finds that it's quite the opposite, but she hopes that Ace will be fine. Thereafter, Ace radios and tells Doctor that there will come a time when he and Amiya will have to take a stand against this cruel world, so he asks Doctor to take care of Amiya when the time comes. Meanwhile, Ace is holding his ground on the battlefield quite efficiently. Mephisto has arrived and finds it useless that Ace is fighting so hard. At the same time, a girl arrives with reunion militants and surrounds Amiya and her team, introducing herself as W. When asked, the girl reveals that she is there for one single purpose, to take Doctor, but Amiya refuses once again. W then leaves without giving any fight, mentioning that she got what she came for. Doberman tries to chase her but fails as W has already left. Back on the battlefield, Ace somehow survives and sacrifices one of his arms to give life to one of the soldiers. Ace then tells the soldier to make it worth, while Amiya's plane is seen flying away. Inside the plane, Amiya feels a sudden pain in her chest after suffering so many losses on the battlefield. Along the way, the plane flies over the large crystal shards of originium. Doberman explains that these are what the catastrophes are. Soon, Doctor also discovers the cities in such a way that they can be moved during the catastrophes, but then he questions why their city wasn't moved, leaving Doberman silent. Later, the pilot informs that they will be landing momentarily. As their plane is lifted inside the building, they begin making their way to the main hall. Here, Rhodes Island's other core members are also present, who are happy to see Amiya and Co alive, knowing that the mission turned out to be quite dangerous. Nero then immediately asks for a stretcher to be brought in. Meanwhile, Doctor seems to have passed out as he was pushed beyond his limits during this fiasco. A while later, Doctor wakes up on a stretcher and discovers that he is on the Rhodes Island's ship. The system begins giving Doctor updates and informs that Amiya is currently on the deck. As the system continues to explain to Doctor about his surroundings, he seems concerned since he doesn't know anything about his past or future. Doctor then discovers that Rhodes Island is currently on the move. He is then directed by the system for the rest of his way. So are we going to ignore how we are literally relying on AI more and more now?
Dude, the guy is literally new to this facility. How do you suppose he should know where to go? Like, I knew you were dumb, but this much?
Along the way, Doctor discovers various things such as the heavy weight that Amiya is carrying all by herself. At last, he manages to make his way to the deck, where he finds Amiya taking some fresh air. As he approaches her, Amiya explains that she couldn't sleep. Thereafter, Doctor reveals to Amiya that Ace told him that they will have to take a stand against this world. Moreover, Doctor emphasizes that Ace believed Amiya to be the one to always stay true to the mission. Determined, Doctor even assures Amiya that he is going to remember everything piece by piece and help Amiya succeed in her mission. But Amiya tells him not to push himself too hard. Amiya even reveals that their next mission is going to be in 3 days and asks Doctor to rest up until then. Later, Nero briefs that they have successfully completed their mission of exfiltration of Doctor and believe that Reunion's next target is going to be lungmen in Yan. Thereafter, Doberman assigns Amiya and Doctor to head to lungmen and assist Dr. Kaltsit with the contract that allows Rhodes Island to operate openly inside lungmen's borders. As for herself and Neural, Doberman reveals that they will be going on another mission. Some children are hiding from what seems to be the voice of a man. There, a grown-up, Misha, arrives and assures the girls that they are going to be safe. Misha then sacrifices herself as she comes out of hiding, distracting the enemies to follow her. In the present, Amaya and Doctor are assisted by Liskarm and Franka, who are part of Blacksteel. When Doctor questions, Amiya explains that Blacksteel is an independent organization that sometimes helps Rhodes Island with its mission. Liskarm then reminds Amiya that she doesn't have much time left. Somewhere else, the guards are stopping a man from entering lungmen, but he continues to resist. Suddenly, Inspector Chen arrives, knocks back the man, and asks him to be taken away. She then turns to Amiya and Kao, who have just arrived there, and tells her that she is late. Liskarm and Frank then decide to take their leave as they have to report to their superiors. Later, Inspector Chen leads Amiya and Doctor to Chief Wei. There, Amiya is surprised to see Dr. Kaltsit already present. Chief Wei then asks the two to have a seat, and soon the discussion begins. Amiya raises concern to Chief Wei that the policies he has set currently in lungmen endanger the safety of the people of Rhodes Island, and even points out that the reunion will find a way to overcome their defenses. But Inspector Chen explains to Amiya that her concerns are unnecessary as they have made every possible arrangement for an unexpected reunion attack. However, Kaltsit points out that the reunion is not what it seems. She emphasizes that they are much more than rioters and that they know how to exploit people. She further explains that Reunion considers lungmen as the best place for them to gather some materials along with some recruits for their messed up cause. Okay, this is some Leonardo DiCaprio level of sales pitch.
Sadly, they are not there to sell some pencils.
Wei agrees that Kaltsit is true in what she's saying but refuses to accept the contract as it's asking too much. Thereafter, Amiya speaks up and reveals that they saw Talulah, the tyrant of Reunion. She explains how Reunion was easily able to take down Rhodes Island due to the help of Talulah. Convinced, Wei finally agrees to sign the agreement but mentions that he will have conditions that need to be fulfilled. The first condition is that Rhodes Island will help lungmen to eliminate and eradicate Reunion's threat. As for the second condition, Wei mentions that it's going to be revealed later. At last, Amiya has managed to get Wei to sign the contract. While leaving the building, she's feeling proud of herself, but Kaltsit tells her not to let her go down since it is Wei, the cunning that they are talking about. Before leaving the elevator, Kaltsit turns to Doctor, showing disappointment that he didn't even greet her. However, she shows gladness to see him alive, hoping that their sacrifices will be worth it. Later, Doctor and Amiya are making their way. Doctor quickly turns around as he senses something strange. Meanwhile, the goons have found the children from earlier and are pushing them to reveal Misha's whereabouts. Just then, Doctor arrives along with Amiya, with the matter taking care of the threat and scaring off the goons. Amiya then quickly calls for a medic to assist the children with their wounds. There, she finds out that the children are worried for a woman named Misha who told them they would be unsafe if they had stayed there. Amiya then assures the children that they are going to find Misha. Amiya even discovers that these children are homeless, have no place to sleep, also have their lives in danger constantly. Somewhere else, Chen radios Liskarm and Franka, asking them to bring in the girl named Misha as she is infected and on the run. Soon, Amiya arrives and asks Chen why she is doing this search, but Chen decides not to share this information. Meanwhile, Misha is on the run and finds herself in an enclosed room after running away from a good that she encounters. She is then approached by Liskarm, who finds Misha sitting against a wall. Soon, Amiya and others walk walk in, leading Misha to back off after being scared. Amiya then assures Misha that they are there to save her, but Misha doesn't believe her. Trying to reason, Amiya tries every possible way to convince Misha, but she remains skeptical. At last, Amiya ends up showing her infection marks, giving some sense of security to Misha as she begins to calm down. Amiya then once again asks Misha gently to come with them. This time, Misha finally agrees. At the same time, someone covered with a gas mask stands with Reunion militants atop a building, waiting to make their move on lungmen. Two lady fighters watch the scene unfold from afar. One of them comments on how the Reunion is already making its move. Somewhere else, Amiya gets a call from Chen discovering that LGD will be taking care of Misha's safety and asks her to take Misha into protective custody. Meanwhile, Misha overhears this conversation and realizes that she should have never trusted Amiya in the first place. Amiya tries to explain her part, but Misha stays skeptical, telling Amiya that she should have taken her in if that's what she wanted to do, instead of lying. However, Amiya assures Misha that she is going to ask LGD to let Rhodes Island take care of her safety. Doctor also chimes in, telling Misha to put her trust in Amiya. As they continue making their way, Amiya and Ko encounter Exucii, who makes a grand entry. After their reunion, the team gets surrounded by Reunion militants, who have also brought casters this time. But with the help of Amiya and Franca, they manage to eliminate the Reunion militants along with their caster. Thereafter, Exucii sits atop a building, noticing that more militants are coming in. Amiya then suggests that they find a safe place as soon as they can. Suddenly, Exucii recalls a place and decides to go and check if the route is safe. In the meantime, she sends Amiya and her team to someplace else. After making their way, Amiya and Ko make their way inside a building. Upon entering one of the rooms, Amiya is surprised to see Texas, an acquaintance there. Texas reveals that she was alerted by Exucii about Amiya's arrival and was sent by her. Hearing this, Amiya realizes that Exucii is not completely thoughtless after all. As they regroup, their peaceful rest does not last very long as they are attacked by the Reunion militants once again, led by the same figure that was seen earlier, covered in the gas mask. The guy reaches his hand to Misha to get her up, but he doesn't seem to be hostile toward Misha at all. Texas then soon comes for Misha's aid, causing the guy in a mask to be distracted, prompting Misha and others to quickly escape. Meanwhile, the militants stand there, asking the guy if he is just going to let them go this easily. In response, the guy reveals that the day has finally come. The group continues to make their way out of the building. They finally make their way to the rooftop, where they come across Exucii. As for their plan to escape, Exucii suggests that they jump to the next building if they don't want to be unalive there.
Someone needs to remind Exucii that not everyone has Tom Cruise level of stunt skills.
Just like you don't have the skills to shut up. Soon, Reunion militants make their way to the rooftop as well. Amiya quickly asks everyone to make the jump and decides to hold back the enemies. As they all escape, Amiya drags Misha with her and successfully makes the jump, just when the masked guy is about to get a grasp on Misha. Making their way into a back alley, Misha suddenly starts feeling exhausted, prompting Amiya to suggest that they take a rest. Later, Misha asks Amiya about Reunion. Amiya explains that they are also infected just like them, but have a different mindset than Rhodes Island. While Reunion believes in eradicating all the non-infected people and creating a place for the infected to live peacefully, Rhodes Island wants both of them to coexist peacefully. Misha then reveals that she came here a week ago and proceeds to show her infection. The infection looks completely overgrown, showing signs of erypathy. Amiya then proceeds to inject some anesthesia into Misha in order to calm her down. Being done with their rest, the team continues to make their forward. Seeing the sunlight, Exucii reveals that right at the end of this alley is their way out. Suddenly, they hear an argument going on between two parties. One of them is of Reunion, who are convincing the non-infected, the other party, to join them. Amiya then decides that they encounter these people, defeat them, and make their way through the slums. Executing her plan, Amiya successfully manages to perfectly go along with the plan. After defeating everyone there, Amiya makes her way to the only man left alive. She tells him to leave this place as it's dangerous, but the man explains to Amiya that they have no other place to go to. Later, Franca and others discuss how Reunion has a greater means to convince people to join their cause, as compared to Amiya, whom no one believes. But Misha approaches Amiya, assuring her that she believes her. Talulah stands on top of a cliff, looking at the picturesque sight of lungmen. She is then approached by Crownslayer, who has no idea why Talulah is hell-bent on taking on lungmen, even though she knows that they will have to pay a huge price. Talulah points out a large building, mentioning that it is the symbol of lungmen. She further clarifies that she wants everything back that belonged to them previously. A while later, Amiya and her team arrive at Chen's along with Misha. Thereafter, Chen takes in Misha, assuring her that LGD is going to take care of her from now on. However, Amiya requests Chen to let Rhodes Island take care of Misha's safety when this is all over, prompting Chen to accept this proposal. With this, Chen leaves with Misha along with her squad. Exucii and Texas then decide to head back and continue their mission of finding out more about Reunion. Amiya and Ko are now left alone, wondering what Chen is trying to hide from her about Misha. She then suggests that they make their way back, hoping that they come across Reunion militants. Inside the car, Misha asks Chen if they they are taking her in because she is infected. There, Chen reveals to Misha that her father was a renowned scientist of Chernobog and that Reunion wants their hands on Misha for reasons unknown. Thereafter, Misha realizes that Chen is the dragon lady that the children from the slums refer to. They used to tell Misha how this dragon lady would help them. Misha then requests Chen to keep taking care of those children. Meanwhile, the vans continue to make their way back to Lungmen's headquarters. Everything seems peaceful so far when suddenly the vehicle in front of Chen explodes. Realizing that they are under attack, Chen quickly prepares herself. At the same time, W stands on top of a bridge along with her men from Reunion, waiting to make a move. Meanwhile, Amiya and others find themselves surrounded by men from Reunion being led by the masked guy, Skull Shatterer, from before. Back in the city, the fight ensues, and Chen's men are easily taken down by the Reunion. W then joins the battle, getting the better of Chen. She also manages to get her hands on Misha and takes her away. Chen's men soon get up and eliminate the remaining Reunion militants, but it's already too late. Chen then discovers that the special units team is being held back by the Reunion. Back in the slums, Skull Shatterer receives news that W was successful in carrying out their mission, and he soon retreats along with his men. Sensing something strange, Amiya makes her way to Chen, where she asks her to tell her everything about Misha. Taking the conversation somewhere private, Chen explains everything about Misha and her father being influential. However, she has no idea how much Misha actually knows and how much she doesn't. Chen then begins walking away, prompting Amiya to question where she is going. Chen explains that she is going to get Misha back, but Amiya asks to tag along with her team, reminding Chen that this is a joint operation. If only this wouldn't get cheesier than this. Ugh. This shit is just cringe.
The cheesy lines in this and Vin Diesel's obsession with family both compete fiercely for the title of cringiest moments, to be honest.
They then take their fight to the streets, eliminating every Reunion guard that they come across. Meanwhile, Misha assists them from atop a building. Chen, unfortunately, finds herself in a situation where she is about to be attacked. But Hoshiguma, one of Lungmen's elites, arrives just in time, blocking off the attack. She then proceeds to eliminate the remaining Reunion militants. After their battle, Amiya questions Chen about Hoshiguma. Chen then proceeds to introduce Amiya to Hoshiguma, and vice versa. Finding that Amiya is Rhodes Island's leader, Hoshiguma thanks Amiya for help earlier. Thereafter, Amiya explains that she has already informed Penguin Logistics to find Misha and that they have already started looking for her. Moreover, Amiya tells Chen that they are going to be working together from now on. Seeing her leadership skills, Hoshiguma loudly points out how she understands why Chen was singing praises of Amiya earlier. This comes off as a surprise for everyone, as this Chen has always acted cold toward Amiya. The team then begins to leave. Doctor then assures Amiya that they are going to find Misha. Memories flood for Misha as she finds herself inside a room after she wakes up. Soon, a doctor named Ivan walks in, happy to see Misha wake up. As he engages in a conversation with Misha, Skull Shatterer arrives, telling Ivan to go and join the patrol. Misha then asks Skull Shatterer who he is, prompting him to take his mask off. Misha immediately rushes to hug him, referring to him as Alex, but he pushes her away, mentioning that he is not Alex anymore, but rather Skull Shatterer now. Meanwhile, Amiya and Ko are still dealing with the Reunion militants, but there seem to be too many of them. Back at the facility, Misha encounters Alex regarding his mindset of sacrificing children, but he opposes this, mentioning that the infected were also sacrificed, and believes that an eye for an eye is only natural. Misha continues to oppose his mindset, telling him that what he is doing is wrong, but Alex remains unmoved. After a while, Misha even points out how Rhodes Island has only helped her so far. Hearing their name, Alex grows even more furious, telling Misha that the Rhodes Islanders' way is brutal and that she shouldn't be trusting them. Seeing him act and talk so passionately about Reunion, Misha finally realizes that the person whom she knew as Alex is really gone and that there only remains Skull Shatterer now. Outside the facility, Exusi AI and Texas are scouting the place. There, Exusi AI spots Misha and immediately reports back to Amiya and her team. However, the Reunion militants seem to have noticed some danger as they begin to make their way closer to Texas, prompting them to prepare themselves. Meanwhile, Skull Shatterer brings Misha outside to teach her how to use a launcher. He proceeds to take the first shot to show Misha how it's actually done. As the shot strikes the target, Misha sees that there was arts used. Skull Shatterer then asks Misha to give it a try. Meanwhile, Exusi AI and Texas quite easily manage to eliminate all the Reunion militants coming their way. Coming back to the training grounds, Misha takes her shot and Skull Shatterer is excited to see that she has the same powers as him. Suddenly, Ivan comes running in his way, revealing that Rhodes Island has found them and is making their move. Meanwhile, Amiya and her squad stand atop a cliff, realizing that they are about to enter into a major fight, telling Chen and others not to go overboard. Simultaneously, Skull Shatterer brings Misha inside the facility, telling her to trust him and not Rhodes Island. Misha is somehow convinced to have faith in Skull Shatterer. He then walks out of the room and encounters W, asking for her help to make sure that Misha stays safe. As for himself, Skull Shatterer decides to take on the threat by himself, with W offering him her men. Later, the two parties stand face to face with each other, with Skull Shatterer firing the first shot. The fight quickly ensues. lose, but Rhodes Island quickly manages to get the upper hand in the battle. Meanwhile, W watches this from afar along with Misha, telling her that she has got stuff to do. W hands over a communication device to Misha, asking her to give her a call if she needs any help. Back on the battlefield, Chen advises her men not to bunch up in one place. Textbook error from these guys, bunching up in one spot.
Ironic that it's coming from someone who finds it hard to get out of his bed after spending all day doing nothing.
The fight grows even more intense as more and more reunion casters begin to show up. Hoshiguma, Exusii, Texas, Liskarm, Franca, and Chen do particularly well, holding off the enemy, and they even show signs of victory. But soon, W joins the battle and everything starts to go down the cliff. Dr. System suddenly starts giving alerts for a heat source nearby. In no time, Skull Shatterer attacks from behind, getting the better of Rhodes Island. Just as he is about to strike Dr., Hoshiguma arrives just in time and blocks the attack, telling Skull Shatterer that he is not capable of getting past her shield. The fight escalates as she continues to knock Skull Shatterer back, but he eventually ends up being the more cunning one, firing his launcher toward Hoshiguma's legs, knocking her back. Seeing this as an opportunity, Skull Shatterer quickly collects himself and begins rushing toward Doctor, but this time he seems to have another plan. He has activated his self-explosion and is planning on taking Doctor's life along with his own. Seeing this, Amiya raises her hand towards Skull Shatterer, shocked to see Doctor being on the verge of death. Suddenly, her senses go off, and Amiya ends up accidentally using arts, piercing Skull Shatterer with her skills, marking his death. In his last words, Skull Shatterer hopes that Misha ends up staying safe. Soon, the reunion militants decide to avenge Skull Shatterer's death, prompting Hoshiguma to suggest that they retreat. At the same time, Misha cannot believe that Amiya would do such a thing. Hey guys, I know I'm interrupting the video, but I'm just here to remind you that most of you guys watching this video are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell for more updates in the future. Now let's get straight back into the video. Amiya continues to look at her hands, unable to believe what she has done. Suddenly, a voice calls out her name. Later, Hoshiguma approaches Chen and reports that the reunion hasn't escaped from their stronghold yet. Chen then asks Hoshiguma to keep an eye out and decides to go to Rhodes Island to discover their plans further. But one thing is clear among all this: reunion will never stop until they have their revenge. Meanwhile, Amiya keeps on telling herself that she only killed Skull Shatterer to save Doctor's life, but blames herself for going against the same thing that she stood up for, protecting the infected people's lives. Soon, Amiya is called over as something is going on. Turns out that W has arrived as Misha wants to have a heart-to-heart conversation with Amiya. Throwing a flashbang and leaving the comms, W leaves without leaving a trace. Amiya then assures Misha that they're going to come for her and rescue her, but Misha reveals to Amiya that the person she just killed was her baby brother. Misha seems to be having double thoughts as she mentions that she always believed Amiya was different. But now, Misha sees that she was wrong for siding with the infected and decides to join Reunion's cause. This revelation leaves Amiya shocked, as she never thought that such a day would come. As soon as the call ends, Amiya is left in turmoil, unable to decide what to do next. Placing her sword against Amiya, Chen reminds her that Misha has now sided with the enemy and that she should be treated as such, reminding her that it's in their best interest they get Misha back as soon as possible. Stating that they leave in 5 minutes, Chen takes her leave. Doctor then approaches Amiya, asking what she has decided to do. In response, Amiya expresses that she wants to talk to Misha, believing that there might be some good left in her still. Meanwhile, W asks Misha to come along with her, but Misha shows frustration, not understanding why everyone is treating her as someone important. W tries to reason with her, but Misha remains steadfast in her approach, mentioning that she is going to make sure that Skull Shatterer's legacy lives on. It appears that Misha has decided to take on Alex's mantle. On the other hand, Amiya and her forces make their way back to the stronghold. The LGD forces take up the front lines and begin eliminating every reunion militant that they come across, one after the other. Amiya asks Hoshiguma to make sure that they don't kill any infected, but Hoshiguma decides not to make any guarantees as this is a war. Alright, I will be the one to say it. Amiya's morals are really getting annoying now.
Like, for real, while her enemies are practically out for blood, Amiya is busy trying to make sure that they don't get hurt. The fight continues in full flow, and Amiya's forces, along with LGD, proceed to make an impact. Suddenly, the situation changes after Skull Shatterer shows up, giving courage to reunion militants. However, Amiya quickly realizes that this is not the former Skull Shatterer, but rather Misha. Meanwhile, Misha tells Even to fire the flare as they have planned to evacuate. The force then realizes that the reunion wants to finish them off and go home alive. At the same time, Exusii and Texas notice how the reunion has gone from weak to strong just because of the arrival of Skull Shatterer. Somewhere else, Misha fires her launchers toward the battle, but has no strength to keep up. Suddenly, she is approached by Amiya, who tries to reason with her, explaining why she did what she did. But Misha already seems too far gone. The two are then on the verge of being killed by one another, with none of them making any moves as they both hesitate. Chen quickly runs toward Misha, striking her sword and killing her in the process. Thereafter, Chen bursts out on Amiya for hesitating, telling her that she will have to face consequences for her merciful behavior. Chen then realizes that LGD works in a completely different way and has no capacity to have mercy on the infected, whereas Rhodes Island is the exact opposite. So she asks Amiya to remain steadfast on the path that she has chosen. Later, Amiya finds herself in the same tunnel that she entered along with Doctor. She blames herself for everything that has happened so far and believes that she is just a weak leader. However, Doctor explains to Amiya that no one forced him to believe her and that he trusted her all by himself. Doctor even assures Amiya that he is going to keep walking on the same path as her. The two then decide to get up and leave.